Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's story takes us straight to the high seas where the United States Navy found itself in the middle of the largest pirate assault seen in decades. It began as a routine patrol in one of the world's most dangerous maritime corridors, but what happened next turned into a battle that few could have imagined. This wasn't just another skirmish, it was a full-scale confrontation that tested the Navy's resolve, technology, and courage like never before. It all started in the early hours of the morning as U.S. Navy ships were conducting security operations in the Gulf of Aden, a stretch of water that connects the Arabian Sea to the Red Sea, one of the busiest and most vital shipping lanes in the world. For years, pirates operating off the Somali coast had targeted commercial vessels, holding ships and crews for ransom. But after years of decline, piracy had made an unexpected and alarming comeback. Intelligence reports warned of increased activity, but nothing could have prepared the Navy for what was about to unfold. A U.S. destroyer, part of a multinational naval task force, picked up distress calls from multiple merchant ships under attack. Dozens of small, fast-moving skiffs were swarming a convoy of oil tankers and cargo vessels. This was not a random hit, and it was coordinated, organized, and massive. The Navy immediately went to battle stations. Helicopters lifted off, drones were deployed, and the ship's radar lit up with moving targets approaching fast. The pirates, heavily armed with automatic weapons and rocket-propelled grenades, seemed undeterred by the sight of military warships. Their boldness shocked even seasoned naval officers. It was clear this wasn't a ragtag group of fishermen turned pirates. These were trained men, possibly funded by organized crime or even hostile groups with bigger agendas. They came from multiple directions, trying to overwhelm the convoy and force the Navy to split its defense. The U.S. Navy responded with precision and power. Using advanced targeting systems, they began firing warning shots to deter the attackers. But when the pirates kept coming, the order was given to engage. The roar of machine guns and the thundering sound of naval cannons echoed across the ocean. Helicopters hovered above, locking onto skiffs attempting to flank the convoy. In the chaos, several pirate boats were destroyed and others began retreating. But the fight was far from over. The pirates regrouped, launching a second wave of attacks. They targeted one of the largest tankers, hoping to board and take hostages. Fast, moving U.S. Navy boats known as ribs raced to intercept them. What followed was a tense and dangerous pursuit through choppy waters, as sailors fought to prevent a boarding at all costs. Explosions rocked the surface as shots were fired, engines roared, and sirens blared across the radio. Within minutes, the battle spread across dozens of miles. Naval drones provided real-time imagery of the pirates' positions, allowing coordinated strikes. This was modern naval warfare at its most intense. Technology, teamwork, and courage working together to stop chaos on the open sea. The pirates, realizing they were outmatched, tried to scatter and flee, but the Navy wasn't about to let them disappear into the horizon. Several pirate motherships, larger vessels used to deploy the smaller attack skiffs, were identified. These ships often carried weapons, fuel, and even hostages. Taking them down meant cutting off the entire operation. After confirming through surveillance, the Navy moved in. A coordinated air and sea strike disabled the motherships, causing several secondary explosions as stored ammunition ignited. Flames rose from the wreckage, signaling the end of the pirates' offensive. When the dust settled, dozens of pirates were captured, several skiffs destroyed, and the remaining vessels fled back toward the Somali coast. No U.S. sailors were lost, though a few were injured during the confrontation. The merchant ships were escorted safely to port, shaken but alive, a miracle considering the scale of the attack. In the aftermath, Analysts described the event as the largest and most organized act of piracy in over 20 years. The question that puzzled everyone was who funded and organized such an assault. Intelligence agencies began digging into communications intercepted before the attack. They discovered connections between the pirate groups and shadowy networks involved in illegal arms and human trafficking. Some reports suggested possible ties to extremist groups trying to destabilize maritime trade routes and challenge Western naval dominance in the region. The U.S. Navy's quick and decisive response prevented what could have been a massive global shipping crisis. Experts estimated that if the pirates had succeeded, it could have disrupted billions of dollars in trade, spiked oil prices, and sent shockwaves through the global economy. The victory wasn't just military, it was strategic, symbolic, and psychological. It sent a clear message: the seas remain under watch, and any attempt to threaten freedom of navigation would be met with overwhelming force. However, the story doesn't end there. In the days following the confrontation, satellite images showed increased pirate activity further east. It appeared the attackers had retreated but not disappeared. Some groups were regrouping, perhaps planning revenge or waiting for a weaker target. The U.S. and its allies immediately increased their naval presence, deploying more surveillance drones and patrol ships. The Pentagon also held urgent meetings with international partners, emphasizing the need for shared maritime intelligence and rapid response forces. For the sailors who lived through the battle, it was an unforgettable experience. Many described it as the most intense fight of their careers, a mix of fear, adrenaline, and duty. They spoke of how teamwork and training made the difference between life and death that day. In interviews afterward, one officer said, "We knew we couldn't let them win, not just for ourselves, but for every ship that sails these waters in peace." Around the world, the event reignited debate about maritime security. Should navies focus more on anti-piracy operations? Should shipping companies arm their crews? Should nations increase patrols or address the root causes of piracy on land: poverty, lawlessness, and corruption? These questions remain unanswered, but one thing became clear: the threat had not vanished, only evolved. As news of the confrontation spread, the images of Navy warships defending helpless merchant vessels became symbols of resilience and protection. The U.S. Navy proved that even in the modern era, where conflicts often unfold in cyberspace or through diplomacy, the raw power of naval might still plays a vital role in securing global peace and commerce. And while this victory will go down as one of the most dramatic naval encounters in recent memory, it also serves as a reminder the oceans, vast and unpredictable, still hold dangers that can resurface when least expected. But as long as there are sailors willing to stand watch and nations ready to defend the freedom of the seas, those dangers will never go unanswered. The largest pirate assault in decades was meant to send a message of defiance. Instead, it became a story of strength, unity, and swift justice on the high seas. And for the U.S. Navy, it reaffirmed a simple truth: wherever danger sails, they'll be there to meet it head on.